Welcome back to Hot Takes and Deep Dives, and I am joined by two of my favorite previous guests. They are the co-hosts of Fixing Famous People, DeRosa and Dominick Pupa. They are reality TV and Housewives producers, past and present. They are previous guests of Hot Takes, some of the best episodes of the show, in my opinion. And this is going to be a special examination of Madonna Truth or Dare between our three different generations. Myself and Dominick obviously have seen Truth or Dare countless times over the past 30 years. And young DeRosa just watched it for the first time last night. So, Chris, I'm going to let you take it.
So here's the thing, everyone. Jess and I were getting lunch, and Jess had the idea. She said, I really want to do an episode about Truth or Dare Madonna with someone who's seen it and then someone who hasn't seen it. And Dominick has seen it a million times. Mm-hmm. I have never seen it. And it's something Dominick references on our show, like every other episode. Yes. And so I was like, this is the perfect idea. And now we're doing it right now.
It was truly kismet because, so I recently interviewed Nikki and Donna, who are Madonna's longtime backup singers, backup dancers. They were with her through 4 world tours, music videos. They're on the albums. Like, you can hear them in Vogue. They're in the Vogue music video. And of course,
they're the ones that do the warm up with her, like in the documentary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come together in every nation.
Yeah.
Yes. And I said to them in the interview how nothing bugs me more than I love Matt Rogers and Bowen Yang, but they spend an awful lot of time talking about Taylor Swift and Beyonce and not enough time talking about Madonna.
Hear, hear.
So I'm 40, but this is my biological brother, Dom.
Right?
Truly,
but much older biological,
yeah.
Yes.
Our parents broke up and they kind of got back together for one night, and then they had me.
Right.
Yeah.
You were the surprise baby. I was the one they were still pissed off at when you came along as a surprise.
It's so interesting to have these 3 demographics. Like, do we say your age? Do you talk about your age?
Yeah, I'm 52. I talk
He's
about
75.
it.
Yeah.
So I think there's nothing more fascinating than having somebody in their 50s, someone in their 40s, and then someone in their 30s examining not only Madonna, but specifically Truth or Dare.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I also thought that there would be no more perfect people to do with this, because I am most interested in this through the lens of a documentary and a reality TV production before there even was reality TV.
Yeah.
So I really want to hear, like, where do you think she's putting it on? Like, those are, as we go through the movie.
The answer is the whole time, but yes, correct. We will go through the whole movie.
So that's...
I hadn't watched it in a year. I watched it again this morning. I watched it on my phone at the gym, which is how all documentaries should be viewed. But I'd seen it so many times that I just needed a refresher. And I did tear up 3 times at the gym watching it, because this movie came out when I was in college. And it was in the closet, and I was 20. It was 91.
Yes.
So I was 20. I mean, I doubt you'll find a gay man my age who wouldn't describe it as like a seminal work or component in their coming out story at that time.
What was your relationship to Madonna back then?
A giant fan without realizing that it was me wrapping myself
Your
in a pride
sexuality.
flag.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
We didn't know. I mean, I remember my friend Chris and I in 1984 gifting each other the Like a Virgin album for Christmas. And, we both sort of knew each other was gay and didn't talk about it, and then grew up to both be gay. She was that artist, but you weren't. No one shied away from loving her, I don't think. I think she was almost too big of a star that you weren't sort of embarrassed. Like, I wasn't going to school with bows in my hair, but I did wear rubber bracelets on my, wrist to elbow from the Lucky Star video.
She was even me, someone who wasn't alive when she was like at her like part where everyone's dressing up as her, forever that it's like, oh, she was like the original pop star.
Sure.
Like, period, done, end of story.
The
like
template.
The only person to do it better than her is Michael Jackson. Like, period, done.
That's it. I mean, they are the two templates.
The king and queen of pop.
So different just because, I mean, I don't want to digress too much, but like, he just had such a raw talent from the time he was in diapers that his being the king of pop was just divine intervention.
Correct.
She by her own admission, is the ultimate creation. Like a little bit talent, a little bit marketing, a little bit testicles, and a lot of just everything I do. I'm going to deliberately provoke people when doing so.
A lot of pure fucking ambition.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That is
Blonde ambition.
Blonde ambition.
I'm an idiot.
That is the thing she had. That is the X factor.
Yeah.
She has that everything you said, but I think the work ethic and the fucking blind ambition that she will not go back to Michigan, to that goddamn family.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stick it out in New York. Everyone has to watch. There was there was a VH1 documentary. I think every Madonna fan should go back and revisit this. I watched it when it was originally on. She was promoting Ray of Light. It is her and Rupert Everett on a tour of her New York City haunts. It was filmed in 1999. It was called Madonna Rising. She goes to like her old bodega. Do you still have the yogurt I like? And she's like knocking on like
Dominick's
all of
pulling his phone up.
I'm only because while you're I bet I know who produced it, and I want to text that person.
I must interview that person.
Okay,
oh my god, get them here right. Where are they right now? Get
Uber them here now, Dominick.
Yeah.
No, but she goes around. Tell me, continue.
She goes around to the apartments that she used to live in, and she used to live at the Star Motel, like all the East Village haunts, and it is crazy. Like what happens in it is, I mean, it's a lot of mundane stuff, and it also begs the question, she obviously doesn't have that footage, but that's the biopic. She should just release that or cut down like a 5-minute version of it, and that should be the intro to the Celebration tour. Like she's trying to tell her story.
Yeah.
I think cut that up. And also she's never looked more beautiful. It's when she's got the pre-Raphaelian, the hair.
Yeah.
She is so gorgeous in Madonna Rising. Get that guy on the line.
I am. I'm texting him.
Good.
I know he's overseas.
Okay. So enough about that. When did you first see her in concert?
June 12th, 1985 at Radio City Music Hall. I won.
You got
to go to the Virgin tour?
Yes, I won the tickets at Hot Skates in Lynbrook, New York.
Stop.
You know Hot Skates.
I got in trouble for smoking in the alley, and I also that may have been when I first like kissed a girl. That may yeah. It's like I was
That's crazy.
Yeah, of course I know Hot Skates.
Oh, my friend. I will not reveal his name. He said Madonna Rising was produced by evil and lesser counterparts at VH1.
Slam.
But I feel like if people listening to this, if you're interested in Madonna, go and watch Madonna Rising, and you tell me that's not the biopic, I don't know what to do with you. She tells all the stories. It is so fascinating, and anything she would do now is just going to be, a rewriting.
I will definitely check that out. I've never seen it before. But the first concert was in 85. I went with my mother. It was my first concert actually ever. I was 14 and I won the tickets and was just like giddy. I mean, that's the only word I can think of to describe that, because she didn't have that many hits then. I mean, she did a full concert, but you knew every single song because she'd only had 2 or 3 albums.
She had 16 songs.
And even my mother, who at the time was in her mid 30s, if I was 14 or 15, was like a giant fan, and was bopping along, I mean, she would have been one of the older people in the crowd at 35, but was bopping along, like loved adults and kids. Everyone loved her.
That's very apparent watching Truth or Dare, whereas like you both are going to murder me when I go into my whole story of her, because like me receiving her as someone who like missed all of that is like, she was like over. And kind of like the younger people were taking her place, and she was bitter. Yeah, like, do you know what I mean? But like, okay, but
which you can see. I understand.
You can see it.
People
I've been YouTubing all morning.
You know what I mean?
I've been YouTubing all morning, and I have so many music video. I have all kinds of like things of like, look at this video. Like, this is rough. Like
because she keeps doing it. Yes. I mean, she keeps
still today, right now.
Right. Like there was a thing like that she sucked out Justin Timberlake's life energy during 4 minutes to save the world. Like she just keeps popping up. She did it with Britney against the music.
We'll get there.
There is the conspiracy that the kiss that was like the death knell for Britney.
Oh,
Did she
100%.
suck out?
Yeah, we said
We've
like
said
that's
it.
when it
We've
started.
said it on our show. Okay, so where do you receive Madonna?
I received Madonna. The first memory I have is watching the Papa Don't Preach video.
Okay.
They used to just run marathons on MTV. I was an MTV watcher every day after school, and I fell in love with the videos. And then my mom always hated Madonna, literally to this day. I sent her a clip. I sent her a clip from the show that I just saw at Barclays. I'm like, look how close we are. Like, we're literally
she's
like,
blah.
No, we're literally like this close. I'm like, by the way, I love this outfit. It was Madonna singing "Burning Up."
I've seen it. Yeah,
If I outstretched my hand and like we were this far away, and I go, Mom, look how close we are. This isn't zoomed. And I go, and by the way, I love this outfit. My mom writes back, I've always hated her, and it just looks like a bunch of rags thrown together. So my mom never encouraged it the way, like my mom would never take me to a concert the way.
Because specifically Madonna or to anybody?
Is specifically Madonna. She just always. I wonder what triggers my mom so much about Madonna.
I don't know. Her and Tipper
I
Gore
do.
back then, they were just knives out.
I think it's the sexual nature of her early stuff which I think is why she became such a humongous celebrity, because it was about female sexual not awaken. What am I trying to say? Liberation. But like that was race. Even when I was watching it like 2 nights ago, I was like, oh wow, this is like so. Like she's like fingering herself and she's doing this. I was like, oh, that's like, and I'm putting myself back into the thing of like the 90s. I was like, oh, that was like, people were like losing their fucking minds over it.
Oh yeah. Very shocking.
Yeah.
And she's never, she's tried to do that every single time
Well, you
since
can
and
see
never.
the glee. Like, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but when they go to Toronto in the movie
And they're, like, trying to
they're
shut
gonna
her
arrest
down.
you, she's
Yeah.
like, oh God, let's make it happen. Like,
she's like,
that's her. Like,
she
that's
would have
her.
loved to have gotten arrested.
Oh, she would have eaten it up. What would
Yeah.
they have done? She would have been the hero of that jail. Like, she would have
100%.
stayed forever.
Okay, but anyway,
yeah,
may I just say very quickly, as I look around this room in your apartment, like I see a cassette of Madonna. I see multiple Madonna books. There's artwork.
The deck is stacked here. So
Yeah.
if you're going to fly in with your negative millennial opinion.
I already have been preparing all day.
This apartment has been described as a gay museum.
It is.
It is.
But I'm just saying, like, you are a huge fan. Like, you have multiple.
Madonna is my number one.
Yeah.
And always has. It has never deviated.
I love that.
There have been people that I've loved, like Fiona Apple, like other singer-songwriters, but it's never been Madonna. And what's so funny to me, or I think perhaps what's so interesting is, of course, my relationship with her has like waxed and waned over the years.
Sure.
It's not always dialed at a 10,
Yeah.
but it's like, for example, like this recent tour, I had no interest in going. I didn't want to go to an arena show. And then I saw the set list and saw she was doing Bad Girl and all these deep cuts from Erotica, and she was singing songs that she hasn't sang in frankly 30 years. So I'm like, it's unbelievable, this woman.
Yeah.
It's like every time I think I'm out, she fucking pulls me back in. and that has been the last 10 years.
Sure.
And I remember, I think it reached its fever pitch during Erotica and Bedtime Stories. I was getting older. I didn't know that the Madonna stuff was gay. I didn't know that it all read gay, but I knew that it was me.
Wow.
So let's hear your journey.
Okay, so I was 1 year old whenever the Truth or Dare like in 1991, I'm 1 year old.
State your age for.
I'm 33 years old. I believe I am the same age right now that she is in the documentary.
I think that's probably true.
like give or take.
Yeah, because she's born in 58, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So like I am her age in the documentary when I'm watching it.
That's so funny.
And I was 1 year old. I am of the generation of like my first album ever. I never had cassette tapes. Like we had them, but I never bought them for myself.
Right.
My first CD I ever bought was the Spice Girls' first album.
Oh my
So like if I have to tell you everything you need to know about me forever. I was the consumer for all of the things that came after her that were modeled after her.
Right.
And like I had known, like I missed Michael Jackson, I missed Madonna. By the time that I was consuming stuff, I was on to Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, the Spice Girls, Hanson, NSYNC, the Backstreet
Stop.
Boys.
Stop.
They were a huge deal.
I know you cannot throw Hanson on that
Yeah,
list of
Hanson
quote
is
unquote
gone.
artists.
But at the time, they were a humongous phenomenon for 1 year.
I believe,
but they were
I
at
know.
the time like
it's just
in
funny
there.
to hear them on the list.
Yes,
that's all.
it's crazy. But that is
It's
what
like
I was
strawberry shortcake,
like. Those were all my
lemon
friends.
meringue, sardines. Like Hanson is sardines on that list.
And you know famously that I love
And
sardines.
so-
I did.
So when Madonna would once TRL was on, and of course the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, and Britney were the kings and queens of pop,
Correct,
for the TRL generation. So I remember when she came on, I think in the year 2000 was when she released music. or even
Right.
Ray of Light.
Like the first, I remember Ray of Light. Like I do remember the songs. That was when I feel that people were like, whoa, because it was very different. It was new age. It was very like, and I think this is when she's like starting to get into Kabbalah and she's starting to do all this, like not religious because she had so many religious undertones in her music before, but like, oh, I'm experimenting with what spirituality is.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And that was the moment when that was really the first moment, even though she'd done so much shit and her fans loved her, but that album and the subsequent tour were the ones where people were like, oh, she's an artist. She started to be nominated and win Grammys. Because Ray of Light, I think, won Best Pop Album. So that was like, those are important moments in the...
Whereas I feel that most of the things that came after that was like her chasing that. And I feel like, I remember when music came out, it was kind of a thing where we were all like, oh, this is like sad. That like the music song itself and the video, we were like, oh, this is kind of sad because Madonna like wants to be young again.
Oh, that's like
what we as young people like really
sure.
Were you a
thought.
were you a TRL?
Oh,
okay.
What do you mean?
Same.
Yeah.
So
What
when
do you mean?
when Madonna would come on, which she did for music and American Life, and like whenever
Yes.
she did like Beautiful Stranger, that was all in the TRL era. It could have been like Monday Britney's here, Friday Big Madonna Day. Like that could have been a real
For
week.
sure.
What was your experience, or what did you make of Madonna now standing next to Carson Daly?
I knew that she had been like very famous. Like we knew that her and Michael Jackson had been like the reason that all these other people exist.
Right.
But it was a thing where it was like their best songs almost were like behind them. Because this is like, again, remember, like I'm growing up like Michael Jackson's white all of a sudden, and we're like, what the fuck is happening? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like like we're at a point where it's like these people are crazy. You know what I mean? And she kind of went into weird, like all the Kabbalah shit is happening. Like she's like wearing the red wristband. So it's like she's almost. I never had the experience where she's like where you see in Truth or Dare where she's like performing and you're like, wow, this is amazing.
Right.
She's at when I'm catching her, it's music and she has a cowboy hat on and Sacha Baron Cohen is driving the limo and being Ali G, and the song is terrible and just not fun and like.
You think the song music is terrible?
I don't.
Get Out.
It's way less.
Get Out.
Whereas like Frozen is like a beautiful song.
Oh, sure.
Like Ray of Light is fun and I like it and it's upbeat. Whereas like music is so much.
That's so funny
more
because
like I feel that music is so much more her trying to get her old shit. What I saw in Truth or Dare was like an artist performing. And then it was like so great. And remember, I'm a child at this time. I'm not like out at a bar drinking with my friends and listening to the album and dancing and like fucking people and like, you know what I mean? Like you guys were adults when this came out. I was still a kid. So it's like.
I wasn't an adult in 91.
She would have been 10. I was 20.
No, but I'm saying with like Confessions on a Dance Floor, like I was I was like barely in high school.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like I was, what year was that? Like 2005?
Yeah.
Like I didn't have a driver's license yet. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, whereas like you're like, wow, you like lived here. You were like an adult with a job.
I was like 35 at the time.
I was a kid.
That was the greatest thing I ever heard. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like my relationship to that kind of music was like.
No, it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense why like a younger generation would think that, because it's almost like you do appreciate her more when you've been there for the entire journey. You know what I mean? Like if you know what she came from, and like if you know that almost without exaggeration, practically every female artist that came out after her is influenced by, if not the artistry, certainly the way that women are treated and perceived and appreciated in the music business. You know what I mean?
My first note of the whole thing is...
Yeah, listeners, I promise we're going to get into Truth or Dare. The reason for the season.
After Chris and I have a fist fight.
one of my first notes is like every pop star that has come after her is manufactured after this.
Everyone.
Like period, done.
Yeah.
Like which is like
Everyone.
completely true. All right, should we move on? That's
Like,
where we all three are coming from.
Were it not for Madonna, your Spice Girls would have been wearing
100%.
turtlenecks at their
100%.
debut.
So, okay, we're going to shine the spotlight on Chris for a second here. You watched Truth or Dare for the first time 2 nights ago?
Yes.
Reaction, thoughts, feelings.
I really took a long time to be like, was making sure like, okay, you are a literal baby when this is happening. Like, remember that. Like I tried to put myself in that time as much as I could. I said she says that she likes to mother her dancers. She still does this today with other artists. If you really look back, like she really does. Like Britney Spears in her memoir is like, Madonna came to me and wanted to do a song, and like I learned so much from her. And you see that in the film of her being like, this is not right. Why are there 2 rows of people that are like industry people that are crossing their arms? I said not to do that. Why is this happening? Oh, the thing is my mic isn't working. Why? Fix it. Oh, they're on this frequency. Put me on that frequency and put them on the frequency that doesn't work. Why the fuck? And I wrote, she is such a boss and does not give a fuck. That was very powerful. I vacillated much with her in this, but like when she is in there and she's like, don't hide over there, come over here. Why is this wrong?
Right.
Why is this wrong? Like I was like, oh, every single, I loved when like the shots of her in the mirror, like in that mirror when she's like, why? I don't get it, blah, blah. And she's like ripping everyone a new asshole was like great. And I was like, wow, she really did pave the way for all of these other people.
Let me ask you this important question. Which of Britney's 3 ghostwriters do you think manufactured the memory of Britney working with Madonna? And did they even ask Britney if it was true?
I think the thing that she says about like that is like nothing about actually filming any of it. She just says like, I remember her like being difficult
Sure.
and like not doing it until it's right. And Britney being like, I had never thought of that before. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Not.
basically, like, I was a child when this started, so I would just make sure I was on time for everyone. And whereas she like waited until she was ready to like give herself over to like the work. I had never thought to do that ever once in my life. And like, and she's like, and Madonna was like, no, I'm not doing that until I'm like exactly how I want it.
Yeah.
Which is like, which you do see in the movie.
Yep.
Where else did you tell me how like you really like waxed and waned with her? So like when were you sort of like getting sicker?
Well, I liked also too the performances. I was like, this is just not the Madonna that I watched growing up.
Right.
Like her with her arms. I was like, she's really had those arms the whole time, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Like I really like her like big muscular arms.
Yep.
Like she really has always had them. When she did the thing at the end when they were like doing the, what song was it? With they all had the little like,
Keep it together.
yes. And she's doing all the like strong pose. I'm like, oh, she really has always had those arms. Like that wasn't like a thing that was like, oh, she's like getting older now. And so she's doing like a lot of yoga. Like,
no,
you
her
see
body
like,
has
She's always had
been
a dancer's body.
yeah. But it was just like very like, oh, like she always has had that. And a lot of the performances, even her vocals, I was like, oh, she goes from like her old, like way early music where it's very high to then when she's singing the song about, what's the song where she's like has the kneeler and she's like singing to her
Oh,
dad.
Father.
I'm like, wow, she really is singing this. Like this is really good. Like whereas like so much of her music after that was like very talk singy and not as vocal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, oh, she really has such a range where I was like very impressed with that.
Right.
Like, again, I've heard these songs and I've seen that, but it's like really watching it. I was like, wow, she really does have a lot of talent.
She's always going to be that artist too, because she's not known as a singer. So whenever you can hear her singing and it's like
Good.
more than
Yeah.
decent,
It blows you away.
You just feel like, holy shit, she can sing. And it happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's because she's not, vocal. I don't think anyone would dispute that. She's not operating
She's
at like
not a
a 10
vocalist. She's not a vocalist.
at all times.
Also, I don't consider her a vocalist.
When I watched this morning, it's just so, everything about it is so quotable. It's on like a Paris is Burning level.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, there are minutes that will go by where every single line is something you remember if you've seen the movie for 30 years. But there were 2 things that struck me the most. The first was, as a reality producer, and this is not for current shows I'm working on, just to be very clear, she knew how to produce reality before reality was a genre.
Correct.
Because when she's on the phone with her dad, she's not getting the information she wants from him, so she's narrating for him the way that all the queens do in the interview chair on RuPaul's Drag Race, where she's like, were some parts racy for you, Dad? Well, that's just me expressing myself as an artist, Dad, and I'm not going to say no and blah. And she's just doing everything she's supposed to do. And I watched it with that sort of fresher perspective where like I never realized before that she was the reality producer. Like she started all of that. Like it feels like it belongs in the chain, in the timeline of reality programming. The other thing is
this preceded the Real World,
the whole genre. Yeah, absolutely. And
when it's very apparent too that she is coming through so many of the scenes knowing exactly what she's going to do. And even
give a few examples.
When there's one part when she is talking to him on the phone. She's talking with Warren Beatty on the phone, and she's like, "I wanted you to come here. Like I said to come now. Like you won't do it. Blah blah blah." And it's like very rehearsed. Like I almost wonder if he's even on the phone. And she's like, "You won't come? Fine, I'm leaving," and hangs up the phone.
By the way, that was them getting ready for the Dick Tracy premiere.
Oh, it was?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Because if you look at her outfit and the way her hair is done, those photos.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And she like walks off and then is like...
She goes, "Pussy man."
Then she like smiles and like has a smirk and then looks at the camera and like starts laughing and is almost like she knows that she just performed for the camera and like we caught her. Like there's so much, she does so much performing in this, I will say, but it's like... In 1991, you wouldn't know it at all. But in 2024,
I think
watching
that's her.
it, you would be like, oh, okay, got it. Like, we've seen this before 9 million times.
I think someone that famous, and I've worked with people like this before, where you're like that famous that it's all performative.
Yeah, 100%.
They don't even know who the fuck they are. And like them just walking into a room and pulling focus is just part of it. Like, she's maternal and all that stuff, but the way she talks to the dancers, like the condescending way that she occasionally refers to them, especially in the one-on-one interviews and stuff, where it's very much like a, without her saying it, like "I'm better than you" sort of moment, because she doesn't know how to behave or be treated any other way than as like a godlike figure.
She's also, and that's the thing that's so funny is she says, like, there's so much like, oh, she's the den mother. Like in the description on Amazon, when you go to rent it says like, she's the den mother of her dancers. And she says she's like such a mother to all these people. But like, I don't see her mothering them.
Well, they're clamoring for her approval.
Yes,
I mean, the mothering is just a simple approval for them.
Correct.
You know? Which is, based on what these people have said, what the dancers have said, was probably more mothering than many of them were getting at home anyway, just someone paying attention.
Sure. Yeah. But it's not like she walks down the hallway with them holding hands and is like,
"No,
tell me about your like life," or
she's
like,
not cooking
"What do you
soup
need to do tomorrow?" Yeah, like no.
She's not cooking
like,
soup for these queens ever. She's just a gentle shoulder to lay on.
And it's very, I think the other thing that was very like acty for me was when it's the scene that's like the favorite scene where she's in the kitchen and he's like, "You fucking love that we're filming this," and she's like, "I love it." Like,
oh yeah.
Remember when he's like, "Why would you do anything that's
why would you do anything?"
Yeah.
Warren, but
and he says to her like, "You love that we're filming this of you," and she's like, "Mm-hmm," and she's like, "I'm sick," and then the thing where it's like the doctor and her and the doctor, which is great.
That's
and
my
hilarious.
favorite. My favorite scene.
And the shooting of it is amazing.
Yeah.
It really is cross shooting. Like, which I'm like, do they even do that anymore? Like, and like, did they even do that back then? But it's so performative. Like the whole thing is so performative. And even like when they're sitting down and they're playing Truth or Dare, it's like you told them to sit down and play Truth or Dare.
Okay,
like you're not stumbling upon them doing.
Okay, Housewives producer with the fucking games. So Donna said we were always playing Truth or Dare. Yes, they filmed them doing it, but she said by that point they knew so much. They knew every single intimate thing, and they had all made out with each other. Because they were constantly playing Truth or Dare on the road. So this wasn't a Housewives producer saying, "Here's a bunch of dolls. Tell us who you want to solve the mystery with."
Not the dolls.
Slam.
Wait, can we talk about the fact that someone's name was Slam?
Yes.
By the way, like, but no, I do get it. But it's like, it is looking at it today. You're like, oh yeah, or when they're all she's like receiving them all in bed. And like each one of them comes and they do have like they get to do a fantasy suite with Madonna for like
that was
10
literally,
minutes.
that's like the RuPaul Tic Tac lunch at the end of a
yes,
season of Drag Race. It was the predecessor for it.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that's like obviously heavily produced and it's like so much of her acting. Like it's
and
like,
I think intended though to look produced
100%,
because it was the closing scene. But I think that she just is always acting. I think for all of it, I think like how she is always very deliberate in the documentary about how she wants to be perceived. And I think it's deliberate that it's different all the time. Like when she was going to meet Moira, Madonna led
We
you
need to talk
believe,
about Moira.
Well, Madonna led you to believe that this was going to be a heartwarming, like, this was my goddess and I loved her and blah, blah, blah. And then
This is the woman who was like the
her
stripper.
childhood
That's like,
right.
please be my godmother. Yeah.
Right. And then she finally sees her after the buildup of like, I can't believe she's going to be there tonight. And she's like, I don't have time to talk to you right now. I know it's been 30 years, but I'll think about being the godmother to your child. And thanks for coming. Goodbye. She knew that they were rolling and she knew that she'd already made promises that she wasn't going to keep, but that was it. And she even said in the scene, she's like, this is how it goes. Like, you get me for 30 seconds.
She claims that she didn't know Moira was going to show up.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
What's funny, here's what I'll say about that scene. It's funny because that woman called her Madonna, did not call her name, which you would know her. Like,
What do you mean did not
that is
call
her
her
name.
name?
That's her name.
No, but what's her first name?
Madonna. Oh
no,
my
it's
God.
not. What it doesn't?
Madonna is her birth
Madonna
name. It's her
Louise Veronica Ciccone. Chris, this is wow.
Rich-
I thought it was
Ciccone.
like maybe I didn't know that her real first name was Madonna.
Listeners,
Guys,
No,
I-
this is gonna be the clip that we put at the start of the whole episode to tease it in.
listeners of the Fixing Famous People podcast, this is what we're calling this is the Kirk Douglas moment.
This
of
is the Kirk Douglas
2024.
moment, yeah, for sure. No, but again, I'm telling you, I was not aware. Like, I wasn't.
I
a huge
believe
fan
you.
of her.
I believe
wasn't-
you.
You thought it
I
was
thinking-
you thought it was a stage name?
I really did.
I think
You
her
guys
mother's
wanna
name was
kill me.
also Madonna.
Yes, her mother- she's named after her
Madonna's mother's name
mother.
is Madonna.
And that's another part where, like, when she goes to the graveyard, that was like, I'm like, don't do this. And then she's like walking around. She's like, do, like basically skipping through the graveyard.
So her brother,
Wait. Let's back up. Okay, yes, I didn't know that her real name was Madonna. Kill me, crucify me,
No,
shoot
it's
me in the
just-
face.
I'm not even surprised that you thought that. I'm really not.
I'm upset
because-
that we don't have cameras rolling.
That is like, I'm thinking her name is really Louise, and then she calls herself Madonna.
Oh, see, that's.
Do you know what I'm
funny.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
now, okay, I take that back then because I'm like, why is she calling her Madonna? Her real name is whatever the fuck. You know what I mean?
No, but that's funny that you
Janet?
thought that.
Whatever it is. I don't know. The other thing is that she's like, be the godmother
Right.
to my kid. And she's like, no. Like,
Right.
why would you
She
do
was-
that? You know what I
right.
mean? Like, I would do this exact same thing. Because you're like, oh, no, you want money from me. You want fame. You want me to invite you over to my house. You want me to come to your
Did you like
christening of
Did
your
you like how
child.
in her Moira's interview she said that Madonna was the one who like taught her how to finger or something?
No, she said...
That Moira was the one that taught Madonna how to do it, right?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Or one of them said one thing and then the other one is like, I don't think that's real. And it's funny because it's so like, it is really like what we would do on Housewives in an interview and be like, they claim this, like,
Yeah.
what do you have to say about that? And they're like, what? And it's like a shocking thing that's like really was like them blindsiding them in the moment.
The
to
three
get
of
a
us
reaction.
should teach a course about truth or dare somehow giving birth to the entire genre. There's
Yeah.
got to be.
Of course.
We need to connect the Buna Murray's Real World to Truth or Dare. There's probably like a 30-day window when this could have influenced them enough to start Real
like
World.
truly 30 days.
Could you figure out that that was her brother during much of this? Her,
Yes.
her brother Christopher.
Yeah.
Yep.
I believe
The one that's on tour with her and the one that's
Yeah.
like standing by that tree. Yeah, no, I get,
Right.
no, she says that's my brother in the very beginning of the movie.
So he worked extremely closely with her up until the Guy Ritchie era. So he started out as like her dresser for like Virgin show, the Virgin tour.
Right.
He was her dresser. So meaning like the quick changes, he would dress her. And he actually in her initial promo videos at Danceteria, in her initial promo videos, he was one of the dancers. It was like Madonna, Christopher, and another dancer,
Okay.
Erica Bell.
Okay.
Was the black woman, and the three of them would dance to like Borderline or Burning Up, whatever.
Okay.
Lucky Star, whatever it is. He's very talented in his own right. He would go on to completely direct The Girly Show, which was the follow-up
Yeah.
to Blonde Ambition. And then he like did all of the renovations on all of her homes all throughout the world. Like he really was in with her. And then of course he turned on her because
big time. Yeah.
big time because of the Guy, like he claims Guy Ritchie complete homophobe and piece of shit. And so he was kind of out and he wrote a tell-all called Life with My Sister Madonna. I've done an entire episode dedicated to that book. I think it is the juiciest celebrity tell-all
Probably.
of all time.
Wow, I never read it.
You got to listen to the audiobook.
Okay. Who reads it? Christopher?
Christopher with that deep voice.
Oh my God! Wait, Dominic, this is your new Barbara.
I love
this is-
an audiobook.
This is better than Barbara.
Come on.
It's better.
Well, I'm hoping it's shorter.
It's shorter.
I can't spend 48 hours with Christopher Ciccone.
No,
I can't
you need
do
to.
it.
You need to spend every minute with him. And in his book, he talks about that was the moment. He really points to that moment that he felt it went too far.
What moment?
With the gravesite,
the
because it's his
grave-
mother's
No,
too.
she literally is like skipping through the graveyard to like find the grave and then like lays down and is like, "You're gonna bury me right here." I love her accent work throughout the whole thing.
She's
is
doing Nikki from Who's That Girl
the
on
most
occasion.
She's
through
doing
it.
Nikki Finn.
Yeah. She goes, "Guess what? You're going to bury me right here, right next to mommy." And then like literally does a voiceover where she's like, "I never knew my mom. I didn't know anything about her. I've never been here. I don't know. Who is
I just
she?"
remember her being
Like,
feminine.
Yeah. She's like, "I think she was pretty. I don't know. People tell me this." And then she's like, "I miss you, mommy." And then puts like flowers down on the thing. I was like, I watched it like this, like with my hands over my eyes and then looking through my like fingers being like, "Oh God." Because it was just so obviously set up and just like,
Yeah,
she truly skipped over her mom's grave. Like, it's bad. Like,
I can see watching it now. It's just like watching an old movie and seeing them do something that's so set up. But at the time, I don't remember.
No, of course, you
bumping
guys were
on that
living
at
your
all. It was
lives
just
to
like.
it.
It was just like, oh, it all makes sense now. Everything
Yeah.
about Madonna makes sense. Like, she's even called Madonna Means Mother, and she misses her mother, and that's why she's blind. And like all of it, like it was deliberate. Like it almost looks, when you're looking at the documentary now, not clunky, but definitely obvious. But at the time, it was sort of like pulling the curtain back on the biggest star in the world. And like for a split second, Madonna made sense before she went through, you know, what some people would call the whore trilogy a year later. But it humanized her for a second, you know, like that. And Dick Tracy, this was probably her most, I don't want to say wholesome, but definitely her most relatable moment. And then, which is why it was so curious that a year later, deliberately, she just provokes people and like does everything the opposite of that, like Raunch, like just a trilogy of Raunch, basically.
But that's what she was doing then.
Yeah,
like
in her own way.
whole thing. I mean, like we touched on it, but like when she goes to Toronto, the police are like, "We will shut your show down." She's like, I'm gonna finger myself on stage. You are not gonna stop me. And if you want to arrest me, you can arrest me. And she was like hoping they would arrest her.
Sure.
Which like I also, if I was her, I would feel the exact same way. I'd be
Even
like,
the
"Yeah,
stage
arrest me."
manager was like, they'll probably just take you down there, give you a ticket, you pay a fine,
Yeah,
and
and
it'll
she's like,
go
"Okay."
all over
And-
the world.
yeah.
She was like, great.
And she's like, "Tell them this, tell them that." And like at the time, nowadays, it's like fucking go on your fucking phone on Instagram and every single person's doing that. Like it's nothing. But then it was actually really like she was standing up for like sexual liberation.
Sure.
Like I do when I'm watching it and I'm like, I'm a baby. Like you're barely alive and this is happening. I'm like putting myself back there and I'm like, oh no, people didn't do this. Like she really did break ground in this way.
I think the biggest impact this film had, we have to talk about the dancers, because the greatest, longest lasting impact and the immediate impact it had were gay people like Dominic at that time were seeing other gay people in media in a positive light for the first time ever.
Yep.
At this point, there were never like gay people on. I mean, there was like gay person on the Golden Girls, that one episode in the 80s, but there was never seeing like a group of friends. They go to the Pride Parade, seeing just gay life.
Yeah.
That changed so many people's lives. Like there are people who say like, it literally saved my life.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's funny because when you watch it today, I'm like, this isn't even a good portrayal of it. Like in my opinion,
How so?
I think that they like it actually like does a great disservice to the gay dancers.
Because they're not really sort of like,
the dancer with the biggest narrative is the only straight dancer, and
Oliver.
he talks about how he doesn't like them. And that like, and while
calls
they're-
them fags.
Yeah, calls them fags, which
Yeah.
she does as well to their
Yep.
faces, by
Yep.
the way, and says that she will kill them, by the way, like not just saying. And the only one that has a real interview that like they're actually that you see the filmmakers trying to get to know is the ostracized, rumored affairing with Madonna, like
Right.
the one that's banging her, quote unquote, like rumored. And during that, he's talking about how he doesn't fit in with the rest of them and that they're like predators. and that like while they're
They're gonna get me.
while
Yes.
they're at the Pride Parade during the AIDS crisis, like, you know what I mean? This is like during the AIDS crisis, like,
Absolutely.
and it's like a very like powerful at the time for me, even us watching it now. I was like, wow, this is beautiful that they're showing the Pride Parade. It's during a voiceover of Oliver saying that he's scared of them because they want to fuck him and that they're trying to have sex with him. And they're going to get him.
I didn't like bump at all on the juxtaposition of that, but that is very interesting.
Like, it's like when you think about it, I mean, this is looking through it in a 2024 lens. It's like actually extremely homophobic, actually.
You really should. So my next prescription for you.
Yes.
You're going to watch Strike a Pose.
Oh God, so good.
Strike a
It's so
Pose
good.
was made in 2016. A follow-up documentary just about the dancers, about like what they went through, where their lives went after
that's
this.
great.
Some of them
Yeah.
were homeless. One of them is not in the documentary, Gabriel, because he died of AIDS.
And Slam, the
Revealed-
really hot Belgian woman, revealed in a Strike a Pose that while he was on tour with Madonna, I'm right about this.
He's
right?
positive.
Right. He found out he was positive while he was dancing for Madonna.
Stop.
Yeah, and like they showed in Strike a Pose, they showed other installments from Blonde Ambition that weren't in Truth or Dare, where she's like on stage, very specific, more heartfelt, talking about AIDS than what you saw in Truth or Dare.
Yeah, she barely. The only time
And
she ever
he's
talks
on-
about it is like during when she's like,
When she's talking about
my
Keith
friend
Haring.
Keith Haring. I'm like,
Right.
okay, you fucking idiot. like,
And so they show him like on stage with her in Strike a Pose, where she's like very passionately talking about AIDS activism, and he's on stage just like looking blankly like, I have this, but he didn't tell anybody
Yeah.
until 20 years later. It was great. I'm so glad you brought that up. We went to the premiere of that. We went to the premiere of that on what's that? At
Was it like the
SVA?
Yes. Yeah.
And we were so hoping that Madonna would phone in or show
LOL.
up. or
Well,
something, and she
there
didn't.
was a 30th anniversary of Truth or Dare that they screened it here in New York, and apparently she did sit in the back and watch it.
Ooh.
just like how she showed up at Sonia's fashion show during season 7.
I don't know what that is.
I was there. So me and Madonna were in the same room. Just saying.
Wait, Madonna showed up at Sonia.
According to Sonia, who I love to death and would jump in front of a bus for, by the way.
So yeah, the
All this to say, I watched that and was like, oh, this is so offensive. And then I was like, but remember at the time that this has never been seen. Like, I was like, I'm assuming at the time this has never been seen before.
I mean, people
And,
came
like,
out because of
yeah.
it, because it
Yes.
was gay. It was gay
At the
camaraderie.
time, it was a step forward.
Well, yeah, it was camaraderie. It was gay people, successful gay people. It was gay people to be jealous of. You know, like who?
These dancers became heroes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. And again, at the time, it is probably like pushing the boundary. It is like it is saving people's lives. But when you watch it today, you're like, you are props for her to like have this movie with. Like when they're
But
in the
yours is
thing-
also
I
a
think
generation
I
that
think-
destroys people's lives
Yes.
with their caustic opinions.
Yes, correct.
So
I gotta say, I never read it that way. I mean, yes, the Oliver stuff, like he is blatantly homophobic, but I never read it as like she's like exploiting gay men. I
don't think that's what it is. It's not even that. It's like, I don't know. It's just how I saw it. But then at the same time, it's like I'm seeing one little thing of it. And like if some of them are in tour with her for years and years and years, that's like a whole different situation.
they're not only. Is it only Slam? Only one of them goes on to the girly show, but they worked with her for.
Sure. No, I'm
They
just saying
they did the whole like a
in
prayer
the confines
push.
of the, yeah, I guess then it really is like.
and had prior to that too, because Jose is the one with the dick and the Justify My Love videos, which that came after Blonde Ambition. They called him the unit. on SNL.
Regardless, it's like they're not on this one tour with her and
Yeah.
then they go away forever. Like they had known her, but like it's not strange that they're in bed together naked with her.
Also,
Like,
did you watch Pose?
yes.
Okay, so Jose Extravaganza and Luis, who are two of the dancers, they are two of like the original ballroom dancers from, and so that she's they brought it to her.
No, sure. Yeah. No, I'm just saying like if they're just dancers hired for this one tour, it's like I'm like, oh, that's really sad. But if like she's been working with them for years and years, that's like a different
She had, and Nikki and Donna especially too, because they'd been around for a minute.
They were with her for 20
which
years.
is crazy. Okay, I have some questions. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going through my notes. Oh, you know what I did like is that like Oliver's dad shows up and they like talk. Like that was nice. I thought I was going to get more of that. I did not. It was sad, and it became more about her. Like I thought I was going to get more of into all the dancers and them all be more bigger characters, which was upsetting that wasn't what it was. What is this spray she keeps spraying in her mouth like 75,000 times?
It's like Banaka.
Banaka was
right?
a thing back in the day. It was like
It's like breath spray.
breath spray.
And she sprayed that many things in her. She went to town on it.
That's got to be some chloroseptic thing then.
Or
Maybe
for
it's
like
not
her
Banaka.
throat, maybe like
it
to
must
sing.
Be, yeah.
Like because she at one point when I tell you she sprayed it 25 times in her.
No,
and
I
I'm like,
remember the scene. It's got to be like something medical then. I love that. That's your first question.
Yeah, I know. I can't.
Oh, someone date raped her hairstylist, and she laughs.
That was
In
not
addition
good.
to the amount of filmed sexual assaults that are seen between Madonna and all of the dancers.
Oh yeah, this is like Lizzo is nothing compared to this documentary. Charlene Quigley could never. Like it is
I cannot
wild.
believe
Like,
you have name checked the Quigs during this podcast.
it is a sexual assault rampant
is.
display.
Someone needs to call HR, Blonde Ambition HR, because it is like, take Truth or Dare. You're my employee. Take out your dick and show
now.
it to me, and then I'm going to say it's fucking blue.
I mean, it's yeah.
The whole thing, but it's
If
great.
Gen Z saw this, they would turn into dust. Like I'm just along enough where I can be like, okay, this was this time.
But
like
it really is the sort of like definition of like you had to be there, like you had to understand, and it doesn't make it right, but
No.
it is definitely, you look at that and if you're in your early 20s as I was when it came out, I'm thinking like, what a fucking dream that would be. A bunch of
living
gay
your-
people. Like,
oh my
it's
God.
just like, what a great life that is.
You got it online. There's an oral history of Truth or Dare, and they interview Alec Kashishian as the director, and they interview everybody involved, like dancers, Nikki and Donna, like line producers, and in there they write the guy who put together the oral history said. He thinks it's interesting that if you compare like the Taylor Swift and the Gaga 5'2" documentaries, those docs are like emphasizing like the loneliness and the injuries, and like they're emphasizing like the dark side, whereas Madonna is having the time of her goddamn life in this.
Well, and it's funny because it's like there's so much of it where she's like, I want to be with a guy. Like, remember when she goes to meet Antonio Banderas, who is like so hot in it? Oh my God. And she's like, his wife is here. And it's like, that's like funny, but it's like, she really is just like this little girl that like wants to fuck. Like, that's like her like personality. And it's like very prevalent like in the whole thing.
But she's a sexual alpha, which you never see a woman do that, because a guy going after a taken woman is like, of course they do.
No,
like that's what guys do. It was just very, very funny. And Antonio Banderas really was so gorgeous back then.
And of course they would go on to do Evita together.
Yes.
No, sure. And like, she loves to do like sexually inappropriate stuff. Like she like throughout the entire thing, you see her just like being like a
The Avion bottle
almost
is
like a
bad,
bad,
that's the peak of all of it.
almost like a bad kid.
Yeah,
like
like
she's
look
like,
at how bad
she's,
I
like,
am.
Naughty.
That's her whole
yeah.
oeuvre.
Like
Right.
naughty. Like that's like through the whole thing. That's what all she does the whole time is like push everyone's buttons and like push the limits, like sexually, anger wise, etc. of like who she can like.
That's her entire career.
Yeah,
It's
it's
literally
crazy,
this documentary is almost like a template of like how to do that.
So the origins of this. So originally it was just going to be like the concert film,
right?
And David Fincher, he directed a bunch of her videos before he became like David Fincher, the film director.
He did Express Yourself, right?
He did Oh Father, Vogue, Bad Girl, Off Erotica, and one other. It may have been Express Yourself, but I don't remember. But he was supposed to initially direct just the tour footage, and then Madonna saw Alec Kashishian. He was just a young like college grad. She saw his college thesis, which he did to Wuthering Heights, like like the Kate Bush song Wuthering Heights. He did a whole thing, a visual thing to Wuthering Heights. And she's like, I want you to like shoot some B-roll. She's like, we're going to scrap whatever Fincher was supposed to do. Maybe he was still going to shoot the footage, but she's like, I want you to just shoot some B-roll. And then he saw the interactions between her and the dancers. And so it became much more about less. I mean, no, you're like, oh, it's still all about her. Well, it was supposed to really be.
But it's supposed to be like a concert film, and it like is not that anymore. It's a documentary. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, there's barely any songs in it also. There's like 5 songs.
Yeah, but that's enough, I feel like. I mean, they're just sort of
but like,
dipping
whereas
in and
now
out.
it's like you're seeing from front to back the entire concert in like a concert movie.
Like the Renaissance, yeah.
Got it. And how much I haven't
It's
seen.
so much more of a documentary than it is a concert movie.
What I don't even view it as a concert movie.
That's
I've
what I'm saying.
only ever
It's like-
viewed it as a doc.
Whereas
yeah.
I feel like it started as that, right? It
Yeah.
started as a concert movie.
What about all of the things that are said by 1991 Madonna and co. that are so apt? Like, what about fucking Nicki doing, oh yeah, the tour in 2025?
I have that written-
All
I have that written down.
It's just like, man,
Which is-
that's happening
that's
in real time.
happening right now.
Okay,
You just saw it.
Okay, so flashback to Madonna Rising, the VH1 thing that you gotta
Right.
watch. So at this point, she's 40, promoting Ray of Light.
Mm-hmm.
He says, do you see yourself at 50 like Mick Jagger, like still out there? And she's like, no. She's like, I will not be, she's like, I'll always make music, but it'll be performed in like in a different way. Yes, of course, the 2025 Nicki saying that
Hilarious.
is crazy. But then seeing it again where she like speaks more eloquently about it in the Madonna Rising, that was sad to me in a way, because then she went on to do tours that were make this look like
She
a puff
had
piece.
right.
an album every 2 years from then on. Like, she's never stopped putting out albums.
No.
That's the craziest part.
She
where
did
I'm
stop
like,
touring. She did not tour between. So 93, Girly Show was the next one after Blonde Ambition. She didn't tour between 93 and 2001 because in that space, she did Bedtime Stories but didn't tour it. She did Evita,
Right.
and she had Lourdes.
Right.
well, that's the other thing. It's like, she then, like, after this movie, like, does more music and then becomes a humongous movie star outside of, like, you know what I mean? Like, she's in A League of Their Own. She is Evita.
Right.
Like, she does, like, her career does then go into another realm that is
And
nothing
she-
to do with music. I
she-
mean, not nothing to do with music, but, like,
She did get more film opportunities because of the success of those two, but the movies were all shit. Like The Next Best Thing with Rupert Everett.
Right.
And then I think Swept Away was like the death knell.
Swept away, my God.
this is the thing that I walked away with it most, is that, like, I never saw this Madonna that I'm watching in Truth or Dare, like, translated from what I experienced, like I experienced in real time of her. Her being this like provocateur, and I think that she chased that so much. It's sad because it's like she had it with Ray of Light where she's like, I'm doing something different. I'm like doing this like new sound that's different from like all the other things that I did. And I'm like really changing what I'm doing. And I think that was very successful for her, at least for me, in the sense of, oh, this is really good music. Whereas
Right.
like so many other things that she did after that, it was like, I didn't see that person that was like, I'm going to do this thing and it's going to wow everyone and I'm going to like blow it out of the water. It
Right.
became like, I'm doing a song with Britney because I need to. I'm doing a song with Justin Timberlake and Timberland because I have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I need to have Nicki Minaj on this Bitch I'm Madonna song because it's like, I have to do something new and there has to be dubstep
Right.
in it. Because
I don't
there's
disagree.
No, I don't either. I also don't think she cares.
Another thing you should watch. I mean, this is if you're like that interested
Yeah.
in Madonna. Did you watch I'm Going to Tell You a Secret?
No, I've never seen it actually.
And you never will because it's no longer available on Amazon.
No.
You can't buy it. Like, I don't know what's going on.
I have the DVD in my storage unit.
Oh, can I come over? Can we watch that?
I've got to go into that
as a
storage
family.
unit. Yes.
That's
Yes,
good.
as a
As a
family.
family,
As a family.
as brother and sister.
Because I saw it when it came out. So she did do another docu concert film in 2005 for the Reinvention Tour, which was whatever, a fucking couple of tours later.
Yeah.
She continued to like tour too much.
No,
in
again,
fact.
when you go through
But-
discography, every 2 years there's an album.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like she never took a break, which I was like, bitch, like go live your life and like have something to write about.
No,
Like,
she
I
needs
said
the
that.
money. She has all these children now. She needs the cash.
So she taps Alec Kashishian saying, let's make another film together. We'll document the Reinvention Tour. And because now at this point, she's married to Guy Ritchie and she has Lourdes and Rocco. She's like, I want to talk about Kabbalah and my spirituality. And he saw it as she wanted to make an apology film for Truth or Dare. And he basically was like, that's all nice, but that's an essay, not a documentary.
One thing, it's so funny because it's like, you are the queen. Like, just be the queen, but she won't. Like, she needs to keep trying to like reinvent herself. Like, I went back and I was watching like the Me Against the music video, and this is like, which, by the way, I'm not gonna lie, it's a great song. I think it's a great song.
I like it a lot.
I like it. It was a big deal because it was Britney and Madonna coming together to do the song together. And
by the way, Madonna outshines Britney on that song. She takes the bridge. She has the most memorable stuff in that song. Hey,
sure.
Hey, Britney.
Yeah.
Hey,
Do you
Britney.
hear, listeners, do you hear Chris's bitterness in his voice? Do you hear him?
No, but it's like, I mean, it's Britney Spears' song feature. Like, she doesn't come in until halfway
Who do you
through.
remember in that song?
I remember the 3 ghost singers that sang on behalf of Britney in that song.
But no, but what I'm saying is like when you watch it, like it is a Britney Spears music video where she's doing her choreography, she's doing her bullshit. And
This
like,
is the videos where they're on either side of a wall.
yeah,
right?
Yes.
But when you see Madonna's in like a weird like mental institution where she's watching Britney on a TV,
Her home.
and
Yeah.
and she has a cane. Again, Britney's with her backup dancer. She's doing her choreography. She's doing her shit. And Madonna is rolling around on the ground doing like hip thrusts up in the air.
Oh my God.
And it's like, when you watch it, you're like, okay, this is what pop music is now with Britney. And then it's like Madonna like scrambling to be weird and like put her legs up on the wall to slide them down to do these weird poses to try to just like be provocative again. And it's like, no, but this isn't working.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
sad. And it's, again, it's not that Britney is like the fucking coming of Christ, but like, it's so obvious in that video that she's just like, okay, I have to do something where I'm like, and then she's rolling around in these leaves and like Britney's doing choreography and Madonna's just like being a freak in the video. And it's like, it misses the mark that she hits so well in Truth or Dare, where she's on the bed with the dancers with the cone boobs and they're like all masturbating and it's a very sexual thing and it makes sense.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought up
Yes.
the bed. In the Celebration tour, I mean, everyone knows this who's seen this. In the Celebration tour, my favorite moment of the entire show, there's a moment, the show is like telling the story of her life. And she has younger versions of herself with like latex over their face. So you have like the young, like
lace, like gloves.
Yeah, you got like
Right.
the young
80s.
street urchin,
Yeah.
80s Madonna. And then you have the Madonna doing Blonde Ambition with the ponytail,
Right, and
with
the
latex
cone.
over the thing. And they erect the red bed. And you
Which is-
have
oh,
Madonna
wow.
and you have
Yeah.
Madonna embracing the younger version of herself. And then I think they like finger on the bed. Something
Yes.
something quick happens. And it's only there for like 10 seconds. I did a review with Ben Rimmelauer, as promised.
Oh.
Our Unhinged review. You got it's insane.
Oh, I want to hear it. I have not heard it.
Oh, it's insane. And I talk about the red bed, and we talk about, and later I came to the conclusion, because I was very like, my headline was this was hit or miss.
Right.
Like, here are the pros, here are the cons.
Of the tour.
Of the tour.
Okay.
And I walked away like a week later. I came away with for the Celebration tour, I want the entire stage to be the red bed.
Yeah.
And that's what I have landed on.
Okay.
That was the moment that did it for me. And you should make the entire fucking stage the red bed. Instead, it's like a 5-second thing that, like, if you blink, you miss
Which
it.
this I think is the problem, is that she's like, I need to do something new and weird. And it's like, no, you need to like serve your fans that have been your fans and stuck by you through
I
thick
thought that's
and
what the
thin,
tour
by the way.
was. I thought that by the way, speaking of thick and thin and the last scene in the bed with the movie, I guess I noticed it this time because I hadn't seen the movie in a couple of years, but when she's like, what do we think about people who have got fake stuff on their body? I literally backed up and went, girl, at the top of my lungs.
And they went, Madonna, stop talking about yourself. When they slammed her left, right, and center, it was so funny. And you can
But-
tell she's really mad.
Yeah, because
Like, she's
she was a
pissed.
purist back then, because everything was real except maybe for one strand of pearls. Now it's like most of the headlines about her are about her physical appearance, at least in the past 2 or 3 years. Like that Grammy appearance was
Yowza.
a
That was-
haunting,
that was-
a
that was
haunting
scary.
moment.
Her
It was
TikTok is a haunting moment.
It can be. Yes, it can be.
I have begged, I have pleaded For months, it feels like years. It feels like lifetimes. And now that I'm in control of this with the two of you,
Yeah.
we're going to do a lightning round. You are the fixers.
Okay.
How would you fix Madonna?
Well, funny you say this. We did an episode about Madonna that we never aired, and it is in the vault, and like maybe will come out one day, but like we've never aired it, and we did pitch, and I do remember what my pitch was.
Okay, let's hear it.
What was it? I don't remember.
My pitch would be that she does a dual CD album where she has like her best, like instead of making new music, she has like her remastering her like oldest songs, and then like on the first side, it's just like her redoing all of her best songs and like today's.
You mean like
voice.
remixing them? Or
Like
literally
re-performing them.
re-record
Like Madonna's version. Like where then you guys can all be like, oh my God, like yay. And
But the problem is they're not going to sound good because her voice has gone through so much.
Yeah, well.
So many
Or
Saturn
whatever,
returns.
whatever it is. But then the disc 2 is like her and like a new up and coming artist that she wants to suck the life force out of, doing like a duetted version of like her song, or they remix it, or they whatever they do. So we satisfy like the greatest hits for like the OG people, but then we satisfy her where she's like, I want to have Kim Petras on the song with me. So her and Kim Petras sing like a virgin together. And then like similar to like Paris Hilton's like Stars Are Blind, that Kim Petras has like a new version with her and they redid it, like kind of like that. And then it's like, I want to have...
Oh, did you hear that? Sorry, every time someone uses a Paris Hilton song as a musical reference, a nuclear bomb goes off.
I want to have like Slater, or I want to have Caroline Polachek, or I want to have... Kim Petras is like a really good example because she would like obviously do one with Kim Petras. These like newer young people I want to pull into the TikTok generation.
And
I think she
fans.
actually did a song with Kim Petras.
She probably
It was
did.
Sam Smith, Kim Petras, and Madonna.
Was that vulgar?
It was a remix of Unholy.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Because she brought like introduced them at the Grammys.
Yeah.
What?
But that's
what
that's my pitch.
What was my pitch? Was it like a cabaret show? Was it like an evening
you
with?
said you wanted her to do like a greatest hits tour, but you were like saying that's like what she's doing.
Oh, okay.
But this is right before she goes to the hospital.
I think your idea, I mean, I haven't heard it fully fleshed out, but I think that's the same as mine, which is to basically do like a cabaret, like I've said this a million times. What I want her to do now is to never do an arena tour again.
Mm-hmm.
I want her to do a Madame X. I love the Madame X theater show at BAM.
I thought it was great.
I want her to, I mean, at the end of the day, just sit on a goddamn stool and sing the songs.
I loved the
She
Madame
will never
X.
do that. She'll never do that.
Because you want to see her at the Carlisle, basically, is what you want.
Yeah.
You want to see
no, my
her...
friend's like, you just want to see her at City Winery.
Yeah, but that's the same thing. Same thing.
Yes, you want to see her at City Wine.
You just want to see her there where she's just like shooting the shit. And
You
a
want her
lot
at the
of-
cutting room, like
Right.
Dominic, like
Right.
just like Dominic. Yes.
Right.
No more dancers. I don't want.
No, you just want to see her be a grande dame at this point.
But
Like you've seen.
she can't do that. She's had years to be able to do that, and she won't do it. She needs to be hoisted into a weird neon box where she's hooked onto a pipe. Like that's what she wants to do.
In my review, I said that entire sequence where she's in that outfit. I'm like,
space
that
outfit,
space.
yeah.
I'm like, why is she Erica Jane? Like that whole sequence. I'm like, she's Erica Jane. She's even wearing sunglasses and terrible Erica Jane extensions. Like, I wanted to do a side by side, but I can't find Erica Jane in like a spacesuit. You need to help me.
I'll tell you what, the old school Hollywood move of the year, her pretending she's dying when she's just getting her face fixed, is like
When we're off-
that's the cunt move of the entire year.
When-
Like way to go. That's like some head hopper level. Like I'm gonna tell a lie.
So I found out the truth of what happened.
If you're gonna tell me she was actually close to death, I'm still gonna say please leave in my assertion. Was she close to death?
Absolutely.
Are you serious?
But this is what happened. She was.
Go ahead.
You
It's
know.
probably no, but it's probably like a medical complication because she like got so much shit done to her.
So that's my pitch where I do agree. Was that sort of the essence?
An evening with, like I saw a couple of years ago, Kathleen Turner was at the Carlisle. Who I didn't know Kathleen Turner could sing. And she basically did like she did a cabaret show. Like, one a little less,
Isaac Mizrahi does the same thing.
It's kind of like what I've heard of that. It's very similar, but she's just telling like great stories, and obviously she's not a stratospheric icon the way Madonna is, but every time I think of someone doing quote unquote an evening with, I always think of this Kathleen Turner show because it was so sort of unexpected. Like RuPaul's talked about doing this from time to time as well. I think he'd be a great candidate for something like this in a small room.
Did you see Madonna's Tears of a Clown?
I don't know what that is actually.
So she only did it twice, Miami and in Australia. It's literally that. There's just the band, it's just her, but except, of course, she has to make it weird. She's comes in on a tricycle and she's in a clown outfit the whole time. But I swear to
Sorry, I don't even. How do I receive this?
But
am I supposed to tell a joke about it? It sounds pretty funny on its own.
She gets up there and she just stands on the goddamn stage and sings, and it's all like she sings Easy Ride off. It's all the shit you never thought you'd ever hear her sing.
Wow.
It's like deep cuts from American life and music.
That's the thing. She's done what we all want her to do, and she's done it.
She's done it.
But it's like, she hates it. She's wearing a fucking clown outfit the whole time. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, she's
that's
bored. She seems
You
bored
gotta
to
watch
me a
it
lot.
on YouTube.
I will.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Tears of a Clown.
Yeah.
It's like if you stripped away all the
it's
nonsense.
exactly how I feel about when she's in the freaking Britney Spears music video. It's like she has to do something ridiculous because it's like she doesn't want to do choreography, so she's just like doing a inverted push-up and then goes into a split on like an old man. Do you know what I mean? And then does like
I like where your head's at with like dealing with the music. Like
what, Dominic? What?
I'm laughing at you and at something else at the same time. My friend, who I'm not going to name, the one who's
not the producer of Madonna Rising.
He's not the producer of Madonna Rising, but he worked at MTV for a very long time, and he went to an advanced screening of Truth or Dare at Miramax. You know who he is.
Okay,
is it Harvey Weinstein?
He said he went to an advanced screening, and Harvey Weinstein ravaged him at the screening. He also said
he's such an idiot.
He was at the New York premiere and party, which was true. But then he said Amfar's Dr. Matilda Krim snuck into the men's room.
You two are such idiots.
Snuck into the men's room at the Ziegfeld.
Is that real or no?
No, he did go to the premiere and opening party, but he said Matilda Krim, who I believe is the doctor portrayed in and the band played on the AIDS play, snuck into the men's room at the Ziegfeld and violated me repeatedly in the handicap stall. You have to cut it
You're
out.
such a... You two are horrible
It's
together.
terrible. It's
okay,
a terrible
anyway.
person.
This concept with the double album, problem is...
It's everyone's happy.
No, I'm not happy.
Okay.
Because
Best response to that
you want
ever.
Dominic's pitch. That's why, though. You want Dominic's pitch of like the Carlisle.
Right.
No, but I'm here to entertain. I want to play with both ideas.
Okay, yeah.
Madonna lost the yearning in her voice. Like when her voice is raspy and when she's like reaching for the notes and she just gets them. There's a yearning, and you can hear this yearning in all of her old music, in
Yes.
all of the 80s
Yes.
and the 90s music.
Yes.
It goes away after the Evita training, where she had vocal training for the first time.
Oh, interesting.
And she continues, and it forever changed her voice. I mean, literally, name any old Madonna song. There's this passionate yearning where she...
Pop or Don't Preach, especially.
Yeah.
Like,
perfect example. She can sell the story of a song, and she can no longer... She's too concerned about it, like, sounding good vocally or something. I don't know. Or she's
but it sounds worse. I feel like her voice, like...
no, I hate it.
That's the thing is that
When
doesn't
she's
actually sound
concentrating,
better.
it doesn't sound
Yeah.
very good.
But that's why I'm saying I don't want her to ruin Papa Don't Preach with her new voice.
Yeah, no, you're right. No,
I saw the
that's my
Papa Don't
that.
Preach video recently, and I couldn't believe how struck I was by, you're a little too old to be getting your dad's permission to get an abortion, actually. It was just like, aren't you like 35 here? Like, well, why would you even discuss it with him? Just go.
I think
Just
she's
get it
supposed
done.
to be like 21.
Failed with that. She appears to be 35 to me in the
I think it's the
video.
makeup, though, also.
You think so?
Yeah.
And it's that short hair.
That's the thing, when her hair, when she first
That
started
pixie,
performing...
it just looks so beautiful like that.
No,
I
but
love
when
it like
she
that.
first started performing and had like the curly hair, I was like, oh, I don't know this Madonna. I was like, I've never met this Madonna. I met Ray of Light, where she's dancing in front of a green screen like a freak.
You don't understand. Years before you were born, so she's already a star because of the Madonna album and Like a Virgin,
Yes.
and then she's known as this like brassy blonde. But then Live Aid comes out, this World Hunger,
Yes.
and she shows up as a brunette. When I tell you that landlines in closeted gay teen homes across the country were lighting up, it was literally like,
Never been so
Madonna's
horny.
a brunette. Madonna's a brunette.
like
Oh my God.
911.
What is
Yeah,
she
like-
doing? Do we love it? It was basically our podcast, but happening in real time.
Yeah.
And it was insane. Every gay my age who, whenever I talk about Live Aid, they always look at me like, Madonna's a brunette.
Yeah.
There's nothing I crave more in this human life than Madonna as a brunette.
Really?
She's at the peak of her powers when she's a brunette. I love it.
Did you watch the Frozen music video?
That's a giant
Beautiful.
wig.
It's
I know.
beautiful.
Well, I'm aware of that, but I love it.
Love it.
It's beautiful.
Frozen's a great. Like I think that's
Love
my
it.
favorite song of hers. I'm serious. It's like I'm also like an Enya head, so it's like very Enya inspired. I feel like. But
My friend who I'm texting with was on set of the Frozen music
No.
video. Yep. He was also in the room when she recorded Skin on Ray of Light. He was this close to her where she was just standing there and he was sitting Indian style in the room just recording something for MTV.
I remember
he's
'cause-
someone
'cause
you should
Kurt-
have on here because
Yeah.
I think
Please.
he I don't know if he's what he would be allowed to say, but he would talk your face off.
yeah,
about
you would
this.
never speak to either of us again because you would have him, honestly.
He'd
No, but
move
like
in
really,
here.
and I don't even know him that well, and I can.
It would
I
be
know
a 6
that.
hour. His stories are like
Wow.
he went to Bucharest. Is that a place?
Bucatepetpo.
Bucharest, where they were filming Evita. He was on set for that.
Oh, so he was like part of the
He worked at
Kurt
MTV.
Loder crew.
Oh, beyond him, Dave Cerolnik, Kurt Loder, like was a whole an iconic. That's a bit of time that Ryan Murphy should do a series about. But like MTV in the TRL years is like that's like an iconic span of time in pop culture.
Okay, walking away from this conversation, what do we take away from this?
What I want to know is the elder statesperson of the group is, I already know how Jess feels, but now that you've seen it, do you think any differently about current day Madonna?
I do a lot, actually. I think it makes a lot of sense. Like seeing her at that stage made a lot of sense for like the person she would then become.
Sure.
That I then saw.
Do you understand that every iteration of Real Housewives, all pop stars, regardless of gender, and gay people in general, would not exist were this movie not to have been released?
No, but I really like one of my first notes is like, this is the blueprint for every pop star, period. Like it really is. And that was very evident within the first 10 minutes of this documentary.
What was your favorite performance?
It might have been the last one, which was the one about the family. They were all
Keep It
hugging
Together.
Keep it together. Or they were all good. Oh, and Oh Father was actually very. I was like, wow, like that really struck me. Whereas like the other ones, I like knew I knew the songs. Whereas like Oh Father is one that I've heard, but I don't know it, all the words to it. And I was like, wow, this is really and it was just like a side of her I've never seen before in that sense. I'm like glad that I watched it. I really am. And I took away a lot from it.
Seminal. It is a seminal work. It is really right in there with Paris is Burning
Yeah.
as far as like the quotables for the middle-aged
Complete.
Mo's. It's pretty insane.
Does it inspire you? Like, will you watch Strike a Pose? Like, how
Oh
far?
no, I was like Googling like where are the dancers? Are they with her? Are they not?
Oh,
I like
okay.
like I'm ready to go watch that because
Okay.
I'm like I wanted
Like,
more
did-
of them in the beginning.
Where does this leave your interest level in Madonna? Like, are you like, oh, now I want to like hear Erotica, which would be the follow up to all the music
I
you just
listened to
heard?
it today when you were saying like listen to this because it was just like right after, which I was like, oh, this is like so that like I've heard all these songs because it was like this was that like early 90s, like a little bit right, like I was still really little, so I'm like hearing these in commercials or like
Yeah.
in stores, and like it was that like quintessential like 90s like Vaseline on the lens, like
Yeah.
sexual video. Like I knew it transported me back. Do I want to go read everything Madonna's ever done? No.
Does it
This was the missing link to get me to be a fan of hers.
Well, you can watch the entirety of just the Blonde Ambition tour, which you'd see the entire concert.
Yeah.
That is online.
That I would watch.
That's online.
Because that was, again, like, it was a thing where I was too young. I missed the boat on, like, her being... Because not for nothing, like, you two are, like, huge fans. Like, most of the world thinks that she's fucking batshit crazy now. Like really, no,
I think
like...
people younger than 40 definitely.
Like, 100%. Yeah. Like, we all are like, she needs care.
Right.
Like, bad. Like, you guys are in... But you guys have... It now makes sense to me because you guys have the first album and the first, like... era of her that was where she was like hitting it and like destroying it in the best way.
I won't even dispute that she needs care. She's still an icon though.
No, 100%. I'm not saying. I'm saying like people are like we're worried about her.
I like her now. I'll tell you what I love when I did not see the tour. I did not see this current tour, but I love the way she looks now. I think she looks like a lusty 65-year-old Italian woman. I think she's giving me like Sophia Loren from 20 years ago.
You're delusional, but okay.
No, I think that she looks her age. You don't think she looks 65? You think she's older?
I don't know. She looks like an alien. I don't. She looks so. I mean, I'm being
now,
mean, but
I see an Italian woman.
Insane.
I see an old Italian lady there, and I love the way she looks.
Okay,
I do.
You're saying something where like, oh, you saw it from the beginning, but I think also a main difference here is that it sounds like you don't even like the stuff that was on like music, and like I doubt you've really heard much of anything on American Life or those albums. The subsequent albums that she would do throughout the 2000s, especially, you know, reaching the peak with Confessions on a Dance Floor, and even, I mean, some people say music's my favorite album. There are a lot of people, you may not like that song, but it's a singer-songwriter album. Like the rest of it, the music to me remained to be great. I mean, it evolved. Look, was it ever Papa Don't Preach again? No. But it evolved.
But no one's ever is that. Like, no one ever replicates their like biggest hits that they like with that get them famous and make them. No one ever does that. Period.
Right. But I continued to enjoy the music really up until, I mean, MDNA is the only album I did not like. But I loved Rebel Heart. I really enjoyed Madam X. Does it sound like Madonna? No.
Yeah.
It could be anybody, and that's the split for me.
But who's your favorite artist currently?
But it's the thing where like you guys have like when Lady Gaga did Joanne, we were all like, what the fuck is this? But then we were like, okay, but like
I think that's a great example, actually.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Like we're
I
like,
do.
and like we were like, oh God, like ugh. And then she did Chromatica, and then we were like, okay, she's back. Like we're good.
Right.
Like we're good to go. Like everything's fine. But like you have to go through that. But like I went through that with her because like I loved. Like I went and saw the what's it called? I went and saw the Monster Ball like twice. Like I loved her
I'm a
first
huge
album.
Gaga fan.
But it's like we like I held on to that. I held on through Joanne because like I was there from the beginning. I wasn't there from the beginning of Madonna. I was there whenever she like randomly. Why didn't she have a gap in her teeth in Truth or Dare? Why didn't she have a gap in her teeth?
She didn't?
I don't know.
She does not have a gap in her teeth.
Are you sure?
My last note is why does she not have a gap in her teeth?
I need to revisit the text.
That's so funny because I don't think she shies away. I remember in the animated version of the music video, I called my friend immediately. I was like, I'm so thrilled that she's keeping the gap in her teeth in the animation as well.
As two gap-toothed bitches.
That
me
no
and you.
shit.
Yeah.
No shit.
No, like I was like, where's the gap in her teeth?
At the start of the interview that I did with Dom, I opened it by saying, who is the better master at media manipulation? Madonna at the height of her powers or Bethany Frankel?
I don't know because I don't think Madonna really... She fought tooth and nail through it from what I've seen from this movie versus like letting people bend to her will. She like took it and like powered through. So I want to say Bethany, I guess, for that reason, just because I feel like, again, what you're saying, like she crawled so everyone else could walk.
That last sentence was the reason I chose Madonna when we spoke about it, I think, because she sort of like set the blueprint.
Yeah.
And then we talked
And then you said that Bethany improved upon the book.
Yes, I did say because she just made it even more deliberate, basically.
And then I said, I don't think Madonna would have had Raquel on her podcast.
Oh my God. Well, that was a bunch of gums that just went flapping for like a good, hour and a half.
That's what we
now.
do best.
If you're still here, which I don't know why you would be.
Oh, they're here.
Thank you
here,
for
all right.
listening.
Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed this crossover special. Listen to Fixing Famous People. Listen to Hot Takes and Deep Dives.
Go to our Instagram pages. Chris, where can the people find you? who are listening to this podcast.
You can find me at the Chris DeRosa. You can find our show at Fixing Famous People. Dominic, where can people find you?
You can find me at my website, domterry.com, or at Dominick Pupa on the socials, or just look up anything Fixing Famous People and you'll find me. Hey, Jess, where can the listeners of this crossover extravaganza find
Unprecedented.
your ass?
You can find me on YouTube. Like a lot of my interviews are on YouTube. I've talked to countless people about Madonna. Like if you want to get Rosie O'Donnell, Isaac Mizrahi, Sandra Bernhard, her fucking self.
We didn't even bring up Sandra Bernhard in the documentary. Oh my God. We'll have to do a part 2.
So that's that. So that's Hot Takes and Deep Dives and Jess X NYC.
All right. I wish you both well. And as always, where's Shelley? Goodbye.
Marketing is hard. But I'll tell you a little secret. It doesn't have to be. Let me point something out. You're listening to a podcast right now, and it's great. You love the host. You seek it out and download it. You listen to it while driving, working out, cooking, even going to the bathroom. Podcasts are a pretty close companion. And this is a podcast ad. Did I get your attention? You can reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a pre-produced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience and their favorite podcasts with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com, that's LIBSYN, ads.com today,